Welcome back, everybody, to the Block Runner Podcast. I am your host, William, and I am here with I-Man.
What's up, Will?
How's it going, man?
How's it feel to have a camera on you now?
It feels natural as we didn't have a camera.
Exactly, right? We're still in this fucking... Well, it's not a dark room anymore. We got like fucking studio lights in here and shit.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
And so...
Dude, we're slowly evolving, man. Slowly.
Yeah, slowly, very, very slowly, but it's making progress. So let's run down what happened in the last couple of days. So we've had a representative of Facebook go to Congress and the Senate to talk about Facebook's Libra.
Yeah, pretty much they were like, they forced their ass to show up, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't so much call it like a subpoena or nothing like that, but it's like...
Yeah, it was an invitation.
Yeah, I think a lot of them were pissed off that fucking Zuckerberg didn't show up again, you know?
Well, I mean, this isn't Zuckerberg's thing. So
What?
Yeah, this is not Zuckerberg's thing. It's sort of Facebook owns Calibra.
Yeah.
And Facebook is designing the association of Libra, right? The Libra Association. But Zuckerberg, I mean, he's not like day-to-day involved other than he blessed the project and is providing the resources to the project.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, dude. He's the head of Facebook. And
Well,
yeah. This is like a Facebook initiative. You just said it, you know, so...
Yeah, but
like,
to expect him to show up to something like this is like...
So who did he send out?
I think his name...
Like, what's his background? What does he do?
It's Mr. Marcus.
Yeah.
You
have any idea who he is? He's just like a...
Well, he's the lead in this project.
Calibra.
Of Calibra, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Libra Association is an association of 100 companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is one of them.
Yeah.
And Calibra is Facebook's wallet app that they plan to make money from.
Yeah.
And so that's their way. So the Libra Association is a nonprofit organization, and the Calibra app is a for-profit, endeavor for Facebook. So the problem with this is Facebook is the only company that has 2.2 billion users.
Yeah.
And so, they're talking about how this is a nonprofit organization, association, but they're the only ones with 2.2 billion human beings who they can eventually monetize through Calibra.
Out of the whole organization, you mean? Out of like the eventual 100?
Yeah, even if they had 100 companies already signed up, combining them all 100 companies probably won't even amount to 2.2 billion people. Yeah. They might, but it's very unlikely. I mean, Facebook would have all the power.
Yeah.
At least they would have the more users that they can onboard than anyone else.
But like if this thing takes off and gets congressional approval and all this stuff, the government allows it to happen, it's going to be on Facebook, right? Like this Libra token is going to be like, everyone who has a Facebook account is going to have access to this network.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I understand their frustration with that. Like, I guess Zuckerberg has shit to do and stuff, but I think at some point he's going to have to step on stage too.
Yeah, no, I think he might have to.
Maybe man, because based on what you listen to, like, do they sound like they understood it very well, like in Congress?
Most of them. Well, I don't want to say most of them. I think there is a 20 to 30% understanding of what cryptocurrencies is, and especially what Libra is.
Yeah.
But there's like one or two congressmen, senators who actually distinguish the difference between Libra and Bitcoin, which one is decentralized and immutable, and another one like Libra is not, because you can send Facebook a subpoena and you can stop somebody from making transactions.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do that with Bitcoin.
Those are the snippets that I heard pretty much, the guys that made that distinction.
Yeah, and so I did listen to a lot of the hearing. So it was like 4 hours one day, 4 hours the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Marcus, the representative of Facebook, I mean, he was getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
Rightfully so, but in some aspects, probably a little too hard. Hard in a way where they weren't really asking the questions to get a response. They were asking the questions just to be almost like assholes.
It's probably because Facebook's reputation.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Everyone assumes Facebook's out to do some type of evil these days.
And some of the congressmen, they called out other congressmen and saying that, we have to be open to listen to new innovations, because if we don't, then the United States will be left behind.
Yeah, man, this isn't a fucking localized thing. This is a global movement. And like, damn, did you see China's new version of Tesla?
What?
Yeah. I think it's called what the fuck, Neo, like Neo, but with an I instead of an E. Look that shit up, dude. I want you. It's basically like, you know how China does these things, right? They copy American companies. They have a Tesla.
Well, that's
now.
what they do, right?
Yeah, but it's called NIO is the name of the company, I think. And I looked at their car. It looks fucking crazy.
Okay, so
look at it.
Oh shit!
It looks pretty badass.
Wait, is this it?
Neo? I think that's their car.
Projected or production EV. Interesting. So we got a Lotus intends to do the production EV record of the Nürburgring.
What the
Germany.
fuck?
You haven't heard of the Nürburgring?
No. What is that?
It's a very famous like track on the planet, and that's where most of the cars go and
test out their
specs exactly,
like top end specs. Yeah, dude, it looks fucking baller as shit, man. Yeah, that car looks sick. I know
it's like a concept, dude.
Yeah. I mean, come on. When you saw the Tesla, what's it called? The new Roadster concept.
Well, yeah, but it's not a concept. That's the actual production car.
They had a fucking car rolling out, didn't they? That's true.
Yeah, that was a production car. So yeah, this definitely looks cool.
Yeah, but my point is well, China's gonna have their own Libra, is what I'm saying. Eventually.
Well, yeah. Well, they got 1 billion people, so
they have their own Facebook, right? What's it called, like WeChat or some shit like that? Yeah, they're definitely gonna do this, dude.
Yeah.
So like you said, we can't hamper our own innovation by due to government regulation, because China eventually will fucking just wreck us. Yeah,
what China does is they take a successful product and they try to copy it, but copying an electric car, I mean, that's saying a lot. Yeah. That's a tall order to copy an electric car.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if they have. Well, it's like they probably wouldn't have the infrastructure to manufacture, mass produce these type of vehicles. Tesla has to.
Well, that's for sure.
They had to start from the ground up, dude.
Yeah,
that fucking company.
That's for sure.
But yeah, eventually I want to talk about Neuralink. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So a couple of things before we jump off the topic of Libra. There's I want to share a couple of videos here of some of the congressmen and senators talking to Mr. Marcus, and let's listen in on this one.
Your head of product, Kevin Wheel, told TechCrunch on June 18th that there are, quote, no plans for the Libra Association to take a role in actively vetting, end quote, developers of wallets, exchanges, or other related apps. But failing to vet developers would expose Arizonans to scammers, which is unacceptable. Do you stand by Kevin's statement?
Senator, first I want to correct something, which is that WhatsApp is fully encrypted, so even Facebook doesn't have access to messages on WhatsApp. But to answer your question, which is a very important one, I would say two things. One is that while the Libra Association will not get in the way of developers developing things, we will need, as an association, to find the right approach to ensure that publishing services on the Libra network has controls. And the one thing I want to say as well is that financial literacy is really important, and that at the Libra Association there will be grant and investment made into financial literacy.
Check out a response.
The Libra wallet is concerned, not only will we have consumer protections that will protect your constituents if they ever have a fraud issue, but we will make sure that there's appropriate education in the product from the get-go.
Well, that was very helpful information, but that response doesn't actually address my concern. Because if Libra's goal is to reach a population that studies show are especially vulnerable to financial fraud and abuse, without more vetting processes for these developers, Arizonans will be more likely to be scammed using Libra.
What did you say, Arizonans?
Yeah, she's a representative. Yeah.
So she cares about her voters, obviously.
Yeah, of course. And so the way that Libra works is with this association, 100 companies are investing, I think, the $10 million.
Yep. Just to get in
the door.
But there has to be. That's what she's asking, right? Like how do they select which company gets into the top 100?
So he didn't answer that. So I was actually listening live when he was being asked this question, and he didn't really answer. And the reason why he didn't answer is because he basically, Libra basically asked a bunch of companies just to join.
Yeah.
And there was no vetting process.
Exactly. It's not like EOS where there's a voting infrastructure.
Yeah, no.
Where,
it was anybody who wanted to join. And obviously Facebook and Zuckerberg and Tim Draper and all these guys who were part of the original, Facebook startup scene, they're all in. right?
Yeah.
And so it's just Silicon Valley supporting each other. That's what they do. That's how they become so powerful.
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that she was saying was the Libra. Let me go back here, and she makes a good point. And I wanted to
investment made into financial literacy, and as far as the
so
Libra wallet is
the
concerned,
literacy here.
Not only will we have consumer protections that will protect your constituents if they ever have a fraud issue, but we will make sure that there's appropriate education in the product from the get-go.
Well, that was very helpful information, but that response doesn't actually address my concern. Because if Libra's goal is to reach a population that studies show are especially vulnerable to financial fraud and abuse,
So that's what I wanted to talk about, the financial fraud and abuse. So
the general public?
Yeah, the general public.
Essentially.
But the Libra Association is basically, they're supporting a network, right? A blockchain network, well, technically a digital currency network.
Mm-hmm.
And they're it's an open source project to a degree. And they're allowing developers like you and I to go and build an application that supports the Libra token. And so what she's saying is there's no regulation and there's no oversight as to who is developing applications for the Libra network.
Mm-hmm.
So what she's concerned about is if somebody develops an application for the Libra network that says, hey, this is a cool little app, so these people would be able to send money using this wallet that is not Calibra, that hasn't been vetted, and potentially could get all their money taken just because it's a nefarious developer.
Okay, so I didn't realize that Calibra had intentions of being more than just a stable coin. Is that what you're saying?
No. So it's Libra is just a stable coin.
Yeah.
The Libra token is just a stable coin.
But the Calibra blockchain, is it like...
So Calibra is just a wallet for Facebook.
Okay.
And so, but the association is allowing other developers to build other wallets that are not Calibra to be able to use the Libra token for, just a different wallet. It's sort of like...
Yeah.
Like the Jax wallet or the MyEther wallet, all those would be able to support the Libra token, but the association isn't vetting anybody to be able to build these. And my point is, you can't vet anybody. It's the nature of open source is that you cannot vet anybody. They could basically build any application that they want, any wallet app, and it could be designed to steal people's money, and there's really nothing Facebook or the Libra Association can do about it besides say, hey, don't use this one particular app because it's a scam app.
Yeah, just kind of like give people a warning.
Right.
On users.
But
yeah, like that shit happens all the time today in blockchain.
Exactly.
Like,
there's really nothing you can do. There is nothing. And so that's what I wanted to point out is that these people, these congressmen, they don't know that. And so Facebook can't respond to this because there's nothing that they can do other than say that they can't do that. Then, of course, if Facebook says that they can't regulate that and can't control that and can't vet anything, they're not going to allow this to happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's going to be their initial reaction.
Yeah.
So that was one of them. This one's pretty interesting. You're going to like this one.
Highlighted a lot of background information about Bitcoin and about the immutable distributed ledger and the benefits of that, decentralization versus centralization.
This needs to go up a little bit. This one's kind of soft.
A lot of people in this space will use a phrase that you may be familiar with. There's Bitcoin and then there's shitcoin. Are you familiar with that phrase and what people might mean by that?
I am.
So
Who's
can you
this?
elaborate on how people
She's the crypto
differentiate
expert.
On Facebook or
No,
Calibra?
no. She's just an independent crypto expert, and they've interviewed like 4 or 5 independent experts that are not in Facebook, and they just want to get their response.
The nature of the Bitcoin protocol has been tested. People have tried to co-opt control of Bitcoin source code and push it in certain directions that benefit their business models. And this network and this protocol and its open source governance have withstood that test. It is robust, it has been tested, and it has had the benefit, frankly, of spending its first 5 years in its nascency, sort of operating in this environment of innovation and not having a lot of regulatory attention.
Is there a central authority that could dilute the value of Bitcoin?
No.
Is there a central authority that could filter transactions at Bitcoin?
No, that can only be done through the products and services that people utilize to access the network.
Like Coinbase, for example.
Absolutely. That is a U.S. company that is regulated based on the facts of what its business model is.
Right. And so just like in the U.S., the Federal Reserve or the Treasury doesn't change the dollar. The people at the edges, the banks generally do that. But with Bitcoin, you can still engage in peer-to-peer transactions like cash, correct?
Absolutely.
Because it's open source code, you could have a wallet, correct?
Absolutely.
All these features are different than many of the things that people call colloquially shitcoin. Because the value can be distorted by essential.
So what's your definition of a shitcoin?
A shitcoin?
Yeah, because I don't think that's not what he's talking about here. He's trying to make a distinction from his perspective of what a shitcoin is anything that's not Bitcoin essentially.
Well, it's because Bitcoin has that 10-year track record that nothing else has really.
Yeah. But you wouldn't call Ethereum or EOS shitcoins. I mean, some would.
Some do. Yeah, just because there's those maximalists out there.
Yeah,
that only
that's why.
Bitcoin is the real true cryptocurrency. But not every cryptocurrency is designed to be a store of value, right?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I think that's something that they're going to have to eventually learn over time.
Yeah, that's the thing. It takes a while to understand blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
Well, yeah, I think they see like everyone knows about Bitcoin and what its purpose is and why it's designed and its end goal.
Yeah.
But then they look at a list of 2,000 other fucking cryptocurrencies that are they think they're all competing. A lot of them are competing to be the next Bitcoin or try and make incremental improvements in the technology.
Right.
But that's not it. Like you said, they haven't even started talking about smart contract platforms or anything like that.
Not even the beginning.
Yeah.
So one thing that
dude, just wait till like these gambling apps start. Like they're gonna have to redo all this.
There's some exchanges that don't allow Augur on there at all. Some U.S. exchanges that don't allow Augur.
Yeah.
So basically, Augur's another
prediction market.
Market, which is sort of like gambling.
Isn't it like you put down some money and you're predicting like a future event to occur or something like that?
That's right. It could be anything from weather to like anything.
How did that come to be? Like,
just because it's decentralized, that they think that they can just...
It's just something that people will latch onto.
Yeah.
It's just another way to speculate.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
It's sort of like peer-to-peer file sharing, where it was created just because they could, and they found a decentralized way to do it, and there's no way to stop it, and they did it. So, but one thing that was flying under the radar in their comments is Bitcoin cannot be regulated. There's nothing you can do, but the on-ramps to Bitcoin, the wallet apps, the exchanges, all of those can be regulated.
Yeah.
And so there is sort of a semblance of control from that perspective, which is a good thing. It's a good thing from the government's perspective because they're going to allow the United States to participate using Bitcoin, right? As long as those companies are following regulatory, guidelines that they set up.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and
Coinbase
is already doing it. It's just a model of what the future is gonna look like.
Yeah, that's why Binance had to do what they're doing. If they want to maintain their United States customer base, they're gonna have to abide by these same regulations.
Yeah, that's right.
Doesn't matter where the fuck they are, right?
Yeah, and so just to kind of sum up Binance, they're closing their access to U.S. residents.
Yeah, you can't trade I think at the end of September or something like that. At some point in September, if you're not United States citizen, Binance knows that because of their KYC, right?
Yeah.
In order to get access, so you won't be able to trade, I guess.
Yeah.
You could still withdraw like your current funds that.
Yeah, you'll still have like an account, but you can't trade.
Yeah, they just bar you from trading essentially.
Yeah.
But then they're coming out with a U.S. version of Binance,
Which I hope they're coming out with it soon because
Binance
has a good track record and they have a good number of coins, but I think the U.S. version of Binance won't have like Augur and won't have specific cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, there's probably going to be like way more scrutiny involved, like just like Coinbase, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's why there's so much hype. Like if a Coinbase, well, not so much these days, but back in the day when a coin gets on the Coinbase, price would go through the roof, right? Because they know like they're not going to put a shit coin on Coinbase.
Yeah. Hey, do you remember the names of those apps that gamble with fantasy leagues?
You mean like football and stuff like that?
Yeah, football fantasy league.
Yeah, like DraftKings.
Yeah, there you go.
Some other ones.
Those just recently passed regulation, and you can gamble on games using those apps.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, it's just a matter of time that you'll be able to buy a gambling coin on one of the U.S. exchanges. They just have to kind of be regulated.
A gambling coin? You talking about
Yeah,
Augur?
like Augur, yeah.
But I'm thinking, when I think crypto gambling, I'm thinking like these little mini games that these developers
Well,
are
that
creating.
too. Well, that too.
That's a little different because those are basically dApps, right?
Well, yeah, that's correct.
They are dApps.
That's correct.
They haven't, like I said, that's a discussion the government hasn't even touched on yet.
It's a dApp, but it's also a coin itself, like ETH Cash.
You mean ETH Crash?
ETH Crash.
ETH Crash.
So I think you're betting Ethereum there, right?
Dude, we should pull up ETH Crash on the screen so we could
Yeah.
A lot of people might not have actually seen what ETH Crash is, but essentially this is what, when I think crypto gambling, I think of stuff like this. This can't get regulated, in my opinion. At least I can't think of something. Because there's no office you can go raid, right?
Yeah.
Not that I know of.
Well, there has to be an office in here because it has to be running on a server, dude. It has to. So explain what's going on here.
Okay, so the idea behind this game is you put down a certain, you don't put ether, you kind of like convert your ether for whatever this game's currency is, and you wage a certain amount at the beginning of every one of these little cycles. You see how it's at 5x right now? So say you put $100 worth of whatever this
Ethereum.
currency is. Worth of Ethereum.
Well, I think it is using
See, this one's fucking crazy. We're already at 12x.
yeah.
But the idea is, if you put $100 down and you haven't cashed out or you removed yourself from this particular game, that 100 now it's at 22x, so you have $2,200 right now. So if you cashed out right now, it's at 30x. Then you have $3,000. It's a pretty simple concept, right?
Yeah, but it should crash soon, which
we happened to catch like one of the biggest ones. Normally they don't go this high.
Dude.
Yeah.
What's your prediction, man? How high? It's going to stop at 75.
See, there's... Okay,
oh,
70, damn,
called
you
it.
fucking called it.
I called it.
I think that was pure luck, though. There's no way.
And still, somebody lost. Did you see that?
Yeah, you see all the people on the right. Those are the people actually playing this game. See, they're setting their bets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the people on green, they cashed out. So this guy cashed out 185.
Exactly, yeah. So the guys in
2x.
yellow, they're still holding on.
Yeah.
See, that guy just put 10,000 and he just made a 2x. That's a pretty good return.
Yeah.
You know? So this is essentially is gambling because it's random, it's unpredictable. You know, you're putting money down, you're gambling.
Yeah.
Which I just don't see any harm in this at all. But for some reason in our country, gambling is very...
The problem, so there isn't a problem with gambling per se. The problem that the United States sees is that people, the sheeple don't know enough about the risks to gambling, you know, in situations like this.
You think that's why they regulate? I mean, that's the whole purpose of regulate, right?
I think, well, that's what they say. That's what they say. Now, whether
they do
or not
it to protect us from ourselves.
That's what they say,
Yeah. Which is fucking
I don't know,
in my opinion.
But they have merit, though, because people really don't know what they're doing.
In my opinion, it's probably more has to do with, like, the Las Vegas cartel, like, lobbying. To, like,
well, that's true. That's probably true.
That's what I think, why gambling's illegal everywhere else except for fucking Vegas. You know, Vegas literally was, like, mob run in the 50s and 60s and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so they probably have a lot of influence and power.
Yeah, and you can see kind of the track record here.
Mm-hmm.
Up until we logged in, I mean, we had 75x, and everything below is like nothing.
So
comparative.
Yeah. I mean, this is just one version. Dude, there's going to be so many... Like, we talk about Decentraland all the time in this podcast. There's a fucking district called Vegas City.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how many types of games these developers are going to come up with, you know, where you place your mana... You're going to, I don't know, some type of slot machine game, anything you can think of, anything you can create.
Yeah,
you know,
and because everything's virtual, I mean, you can pretty much come up with anything, right?
Yeah.
You're not limited to, like, the laws of physics.
Exactly. Yeah, I had an idea to create, like, the block runner version of this concept, you know, like, people are jumping up and down, like your character. Well, I guess people listening have no idea what I'm talking about.
Well, we can show them.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, look at this. The concept of monetization behind this, I wanted to apply like in a game where you can actually play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This, you're just looking at a fucking curve go up.
Yeah, just a number.
Yeah, like it's the rush and adrenaline's still
Yes,
there
yeah.
because money is being, wagered, but you're not doing anything. You're just waiting for, to push a button.
Yeah, and you can see on the right here, this guy, he bet 75 and he's just waiting.
Yeah. Oh, something.
And then crash at
really
25.
laggy for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, they get the idea behind the game. So yeah, if you want, we could just show them.
Well, yeah, but let's continue for
Okay.
this because there's some gems in here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I guess my point was that
They can regulate the entry points to blockchain,
Yeah.
but they can't regulate blockchain itself, which it gives them a better idea and better perspective as to how they're going to align these regulatory guidelines for the companies.
I just don't think like the government has really latched on to the core principle of like what this whole blockchain movement is about. The whole
Right.
decentralizing aspect of it. I don't think they're there yet because Facebook's not about that.
Yeah,
either.
they're not.
And Bitcoin pretty much is. I don't know if any of these guys said anything. I'm assuming there's got to be some like real like bears in the Congress who are like really against Bitcoin, right? Because they recognize that this is going to damage the dollar.
Well, I think from what I picked up from listening to the hearing was they're more afraid of Facebook than they are
Yeah.
blockchain.
It's true. Because Facebook has the numbers.
They have the power.
I don't even know if they're really afraid or they know they have to do something about it because it's.
Well, they're afraid because you could argue that Libra is competing with the dollar.
But not necessarily because, it's pegged to a basket of currencies, which includes the dollar, right? So
Yeah, but
I
if
think-
they hold all the dollars, then and they're the ones distributing the monetary like transactional coin.
Yeah,
I mean, they're controlling everything.
I guess. And I think, the big concern also is the data security, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they have all these people's information, and
And-
now they're going to have their.
Now, ultimately, like I'd be interested to see how they're going to design from a architectural standpoint the Libra wallet, because if they're going to be holding everybody's private keys, Libra only needs to get hacked, and they pretty much lose everybody's money.
Exactly, right? That's fucking disaster if that happens.
I mean, yeah, talk about. I mean, that's like
Like
apocalyptic disaster.
It's over. If they
Yeah.
get hacked even once, right? Like, they lose all credibility.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think?
I mean,
Well, maybe
Facebook
not.
Facebook could decide to give everybody's money back, and then of course they're gonna have insurance. But
Yeah.
I mean, a major hack.
I mean, things get hacked all the time, right? And
Yeah.
like, everybody's credit got stolen recently, didn't it? Like,
Yeah.
or credit information.
Equifax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people still use them.
Yeah, they do.
They're
They
fine.
didn't go under.
Yeah.
You would think they would, but they just
Yeah.
I guess too big to fail. Let's listen to this guy.
The reality is, whether Facebook is involved or not, change is here. Digital currencies exist.
So this is one of the guys that
Blockchain
understand it.
technology is real. And Facebook's entry in this new world is just confirmation,
True.
albeit at scale. The world that Satoshi Nakamoto, author of the Bitcoin white paper,
Oh, dude, he threw out
envisions
Satoshi.
and others are building,
Damn.
is an unstoppable force. We should not attempt to deter this innovation, and governments cannot stop this innovation. And those that have tried have already failed. So the question then becomes, what are American policymakers going to do to meet the challenges and the opportunities of this new world of innovation? The reality is, whether Facebook
So this guy basically he's talking about Satoshi's paper to basically all the congressmen, and well, I mean Marcus obviously knows about this, but and he's just saying that he has to encourage the government to figure out a way to embrace this technology.
Care.
To yeah, and
Because like we said last time, like Bitcoin's been around, but it's never garnered this type of attention from government,
yeah, and
from regulators.
it's because of Facebook and their potential takeover
Yeah.
that has gotten their attention. I mean, you had the Treasury Secretary talk about Bitcoin and Libra.
Mm-hmm.
You had the president, and now you have Congress and Senate all talking about Libra and Bitcoin all within the same week,
Yeah.
which obviously has never happened before.
No. And Libra just literally put out their white paper like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
2 weeks, yeah,
you
that's
know?
right.
So they're in a hurry.
Mhm.
They have to be.
Yeah,
And I don't think anything Bitcoin, regardless whatever price Bitcoin hit, would never like put this type of pressure on the government to regulate it. I feel like, I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, it hit 20K. There's a mania,
and
nothing.
Nobody
there was
said
no
anything.
Senate hearing, nothing like that.
That's right.
I think at most, like the CFTC chairman, the SEC.
Yeah, they're
involved.
just all they said was just be careful with your investments.
Yeah, and that's like their job, right? Their job. They are supposed to protect people from, I guess, like investment markets that I don't know.
Yeah, that could lose their entire life savings.
That's why there's so many barriers, right? You got to be a accredited investor for such things, and in order to be like qualified as a day trader, you need like a certain amount of capital, stuff like that. They have all kinds of regulations involved.
Yeah.
To the small man, it seems like bullshit, right? Because it's kind of like set up for only the rich can participate and play and profit off of these existing markets. That's why cryptocurrency was such a hit,
right,
among retail investors, because finally, like, people who only have maybe like a couple $100 to play around with, they can actually do it.
Yeah, and you probably heard about Ocasio-Cortez. Yeah, she was there.
AOC?
Yep.
Let's see what she says.
We're here today because Facebook, which is a publishing platform, an advertising network, a personal telecommunications network, a surveillance corporation, a content distributor, now also wants to establish a currency and act through its wallet as, at minimum, a payment processor. Why should these activities be consolidated under one corporation?
Congresswoman, the one thing that we are focused on really is solving problems for the very people who are left behind right now, and we believe it's important because we have the ability to invest and we have the products to deliver those services that will solve problems the same way we've reduced costs for people to communicate on our messaging apps.
I see.
Okay, so his big thing, he's latching onto the whole bank the unbanked thing.
That's right.
She's asking,
should, if Facebook is all these things, should it also be everybody's money?
I guess what he could have said is it's really not just Facebook, right? That's the whole purpose behind.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Distributing it equally among 100 different nodes, right?
Yeah,
but at the same time, they're all going to. The purpose is to, like, you're adding on a new layer to the Facebook platform.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, because if in a capitalistic society like the one we're in, what else do you expect companies to do? Like, besides try to make more money.
About big tech, man, dude, they're trying to conquer everything. Like, Amazon's the perfect example of that.
I mean, but that's what you would expect out of this society.
Yeah, they're not going to just be like, you know what, we're making $10 billion a year. You know what, this is perfect.
Yeah, we're good.
No, they have so much money, like they just want to keep R&D going.
Yeah, and the last company that said that we're good was Blockbuster.
It's true.
And so it doesn't make any sense to not continue innovating. So that's why I think a lot of these questions are very pretentious. They were asking these questions just to be, sort of like assholes, because there isn't a response to this besides, like, well, we're in a capitalistic society and that's what we're supposed to do is continue innovating.
Yeah.
So she had another good point here. I think it's somewhere over here. Maybe not.
So I think there's some deeper questions here about a regulatory regime and why are we falling behind against other regimes when it comes to digital assets and digital currency.
You just said you think we're falling behind. Why? What makes you think that?
Well, we don't have a regulatory regime that is permissive for digital currency. So what we're seeing is the development and the dollars raised are outside the four walls of the United States and outside of American domiciled individuals. That's what we're seeing with cryptocurrency. And so it looks like Libra is following in their wake, and thereby pumping up a broader set of assets based off of Facebook's
interest. So, Congressman, here to me is one of the great conundrums of this whole situation. From a business perspective, you would want the United States to be the leader in crypto. You'd want them to be the leader in everything, possibly, but you'd think, okay, from intellectual property, everything else, you'd want to be the leaders in crypto. However, crypto, by its very nature, especially when it comes to Bitcoin and so many of these other currencies, are not government fiat money, right? And in fact, the advantage of them, the great is that they're not fiat money, right? I mean, that's the issue. So either we want to advocate for the monopoly power of fiat currency in the United States and all the powers that come with that the government and the Federal Reserve and everybody else has, or you want to advocate for crypto. It's hard to be in the middle.
Well, here's the reality. Even the Chinese can't wall off cryptocurrency. Every regime that has tried to prohibit that action and activity within their country has failed. So it is a reality of the situation, just like cross-border trade is a reality. What I want to understand is the nature of the technology, the benefits, the costs to it. So I think...
So basically, I mean, the other guy brings up a good point. Like, how does the United States support Bitcoin and try to stay in the race compared to all the other countries when Bitcoin is theoretically competing with fiat currency itself?
Oh, not theoretically. That's exactly what it's supposed to do, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like,
but here's the thing. It's like it's becoming clear to Congress and all these senators and the government that you can't stop Bitcoin. So what can you do? And if you support Bitcoin, like you say, you start doing the regulatory guidelines that all the companies are asking for and make it clear for companies to start businesses around cryptocurrency, the businesses themselves will be the funding, will be the income that the government will have from cryptocurrencies, not the actual coin itself. Because if Bitcoin is as unstoppable as they're, discovering, then what can they do besides just embrace Bitcoin? I mean, in my opinion, I don't see there's another option.
But by embracing it, you have to recognize if our future monetary system is based on this.
It's sort of self-defeating.
Yeah, but so how do you position yourself as the number one nation economically? Right. If all of a sudden, because our big strength is our currency, the dollar. Yeah. Everybody knows that. Yeah. The whole world is pretty much pegged to it in a way.
Yeah, but we also have to recognize that even though the U.S. dollar is a world reserve currency, it is still subject to the same rules as the fiat, meaning the currency in Venezuela has collapsed. Yeah. We had Greece collapse as well. and it was from rampant inflation. And if you go look at the charts for the U.S. dollar, the value of the U.S. dollar has gone down roughly 90% since 1922. And so eventually it's going to defeat itself. Well, I mean, we're already talking about kicking up the ceiling for
the debt.
For the debt. And I mean, all you're doing is devaluing the dollar every time you kick the ceiling up.
Yeah, I almost feel like there's not going to be some type of big embrace from the government. It's just going to be unexpected, just run over type shit. Because again, it's not a.
So you're talking about a collapse of the dollar.
Well, other countries will adopt Bitcoin before the United States does.
Well,
because they have an incentive to, right? Yeah. Because it will, in a sense, strengthen them by giving them more like economic independence. It's like saying like a country has a mass amount of oil, right? Like Saudi Arabia or something like that. Mm-hmm. The United States pushed so much effort to try and lessen our dependence on that type of foreign oil. That's why we do so much fracking and stuff here at home. Yeah. To the detriment of our own environment and shit. Fuck it, right? As long as we have all the oil, we're overproducing oil. Yeah. Now the Middle East isn't so much of a problem. So if you're from a perspective of another country, it's like, fuck, man, we're all dependent on the United States fiat currency, right? Like, so why don't we just detach ourselves from that and latch ourselves into something cryptocurrency?
Yeah, something a little bit more stable from a power standpoint.
Yeah, from a power standpoint, like it's not necessarily a stable currency, but
eventually it will be.
Eventually it will be, but I think those type of movements will obviously come along slowly as the price increases.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the United States at some point is just gonna be like, holy shit, See, there's nothing we can do about this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like if there's nothing they can do about it, then embracing the regulatory framework for companies to. When startup companies, they're not launching in Switzerland and they're not launching in the UK. They're doing it in the United States just because the United States embraces, the cryptocurrency wave.
Well, talking about like ICOs and stuff, though.
Well,
that's different.
No, and I'm not just ICOs. Just like if you wanted to do a startup company in the crypto space,
okay,
and you headquartered in the United States, you don't have regulatory guidelines clear enough for you to have a reasonably stable business. And so that's the issue with the United States, and that's why a lot of companies are more successful outside of the United States because of perhaps less regulation, but also clearer regulation as well.
Yeah. But I still don't see how that has an influence on Bitcoin. I think that's more so just blockchain in general.
Well, think about it. If the United States becomes the cryptocurrency hub where companies go to start, then the United States remains a power in the cryptocurrency space, even though they lost the power in the dollar, which we all pretty much agree that it's going to happen just because of its nature. Fiat's nature is to self-defeat itself. So that's how I see it, and that's why I think, I mean, these guys are not dumb. I mean, eventually it's going to take some time for them to understand, just like we did, but they'll see that the only option they have is to just embrace it and just, call.
And then what? Like, don't dump their bags and then just buy all the Bitcoin they can, or what? How do you embrace it from the perspective of the U.S. government? That's what they have to figure out, right?
Well, what they have to do is encourage companies to start in the United States. Startups.
But but again, that's nothing to do with Bitcoin. That's just because every startup in crypto, they're just doing their own thing. You know what I mean? They're creating their own blockchain product.
Yeah, but we just agreed that the on-ramps to access the Bitcoin blockchain is through regulated services.
Okay, like Coinbase.
Like Coinbase, yeah.
Like if the government just decided, you know what, we don't like this Bitcoin thing, so no longer can Coinbase operate in the United States.
Right.
That's what they would do in a scenario where they realize Bitcoin is a threat to our economy.
Yeah, and then what happens to the other countries?
Yeah, they're fine. The price will probably take a huge dip, but it will recover eventually. The other countries are they'll just use it. They're swimming in it. Yeah. They're swimming in Bitcoins that are super valuable, and we're sitting here in our old money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's essentially what's going to happen.
Right.
And
those of us who know about Bitcoin and what it means in comparison to fiat, I mean, we're still going to hold Bitcoin whether it's illegal or not.
It's true. Like, we can still buy it. That's the whole beauty of it, right?
Yeah, just hop on a VPN network and go to Binance, and there you go.
Yeah.
And check this one out.
Mr. Marcus, I'm going to move kind of fast here today, so I apologize in advance if I interrupt you. We only have 5 minutes. I want to first agree with a lot of the comments that Senator.
So this is one of the more pretentious questions.
But I want to explore today the underpinnings.
This guy related to JFK?
Can we agree that a banker should be trustworthy?
Question. It's possible.
It's going to assume he is.
Senator.
Can we agree that a banker should be honest?
Yes, Senator.
Can we agree that a banker should respect a customer's privacy?
Senator, yes, of course, but we are not going to engage in banking.
Can we agree that,
See?
that Facebook knew in the spring of 2016 that Russia was attempting through Facebook to disrupt the U.S. presidential election?
So now he's talking about
Senator,
Facebook itself and not cryptocurrencies.
We definitely moved too slow. And we've learned.
Isn't it true that your
damn straight cut him off?
Security officer knew in the spring of 2016? Isn't it true that Mr. Zuckerberg and your CFO, Ms. Sandberg, I believe, knew in December of 2016? Isn't it also true that you didn't tell your board of directors? They didn't tell the board of directors until 2017, until September 2017. Isn't that accurate?
He cuts him off as soon as he starts talking. No, we did it.
We definitely moved too slow to recognize the activities that were happening on the platform.
Well, excuse me if interrupting, but I only got 5 minutes. In September 2017,
they're not looking for answers.
When senior management told your board of directors, Facebook also issued a statement. It said, yeah, the Russians have tried to disrupt the election through Facebook, but they only spent $100,000 and they only ran 3,000 ads. That was a lie, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, Senator.
That was a lie, wasn't it?
I don't believe it was, but...
Well, later Facebook admitted that actually the Russian ad had reached 126 million people, didn't they?
Well, Senator, I believe that the people who answered that question at the time answered to the best of their knowledge at the time.
Right. When Mr. Zuckerberg was conducting his listening tour,
It's a felony to
across the whole
to
country,
lie.
first half, I think, of 2017.
Well,
well, I guess it's not a court case.
Yeah, it's
so
not.
it's not.
When he
court.
was
You can lie
feeding
to
cows
Congress,
in
dude. Fuck that.
Wisconsin and having
They
dinner
lie all
with
the time.
refugees
Yeah.
in Minneapolis, he knew about the Russian involvement, didn't he?
I don't know, Senator.
Okay. He didn't say anything, did he?
I don't remember the timeline, Senator.
Okay.
Is he driving at?
In
And
the
Facebook's
spring
just like a-
of 2017, spring and summer, our Intelligence Committee in the U.S. Senate started investigating the Russian attempts to disrupt the election through Facebook. Facebook issued a statement saying there were no such attempts. That was a lie, wasn't it?
Senator, I don't remember the timeline, and I believe that people have always answered truthfully with the information they had at the time.
Okay, in June of 2018, let me fast forward a little bit, we found out that Facebook was sharing user data with device makers, a whole bunch of them, 40 of them, Amazon, Microsoft, Samsung. Facebook didn't disclose that to the users, did it?
Senator, my understanding, and again, it was not my responsibility or my team, is that this was designed to enable those phone manufacturers to build integration within the Facebook product to serve those consumers using these devices.
Okay. Your algorithms are such that if I watch a video on a topic, I'm immediately shown
See, I mean,
videos
he's just not. He's not
on
talking
more
about
extreme
cryptocurrencies.
versions of that topic.
It's
yeah,
like,
I think he's stuck on the idea that Facebook
This
is
not the way
this-
that...
yeah, and like they
Facebook
wanted
platform
another round with
is based.
Zuckerberg.
Exactly.
But it did for a long time,
It's like
right?
they're not responsible
Senator,
enough for this
Mark,
type of power.
Yeah.
You know what I
really
mean?
led
I think that's what he's
through-
Well,
driving at.
can we agree, when we agree on this, that Facebook has now become the major news source for many, many people, probably the major news source.
Probably Twitter.
Is that
It's
true?
pretty
I
sad.
don't believe it is,
It's
Senator.
Facebook.
I believe that more and more people are interacting with other
Well,
people on the
60%
platform.
of your users say they get their news off Facebook as their primary source. Isn't it true, I really want your opinion, that Facebook has chosen to advance a set of values in which truthful reporting has been displaced by flagrant displays of bullshit?
Ooh, edgy.
I don't know how to answer that.
The
Yeah,
room
well, what
goes
is he supposed to
silent.
say to that?
I don't know.
Well, here's my last question, and I agree
Bullshit.
again
It's
with
like,
Senator
whoa.
Kennedy. Facebook.
He cussed.
But Facebook now wants to control the money supply.
We
What
will-
could possibly go wrong?
Senator, we will not control either Libra, the currency, or the association, and we agree that no company should control such a network or digital currency.
I'd like a second round if we could, Mr. Chairman.
If we have time, I will be glad to do that for senators who so wish.
That was just 5 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
So I didn't
But-
really get anything out of that.
Well,
honestly.
other than it's just a display of most of the senators
Uh-huh.
were asking questions that they didn't want answers to. Basically,
Uh-huh.
they were there just to
Fill their 5 minutes.
fill their 5 minutes and be basically berate Facebook.
Yeah, I think they're expected like to kind of like
Which-
scrutinize them and shit.
I mean, I'm not trying to defend Facebook, but if they're really wanting to learn about what the hell Facebook is trying to do, like ask the questions that you want answers to.
You remember that video, like when Andreas was in the Canadian Parliament or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah.
And like they were
Dude,
asking him like
exactly.
legit ass motherfucking questions
Yes.
about like blockchain and Bitcoin.
Man, and that
They
was
had
like
a-
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time. But they had a genuine curiosity, it
Yeah.
seemed like almost everybody. There was like 1 or 2 like, super old sticklers in there.
Yeah.
And like, fuck you. We like, or about Canadian dollars, whatever the fuck they use up there.
Yeah.
But
And that was, I mean, that was like a 3.5 hour thing, and you watched the whole thing, right?
I watched it, a
Yeah.
long time ago, and I was like, damn, this is pretty goddamn impressive.
And
man.
the
I
fact
love
that a
fucking
government's like
Canada.
proactive about it,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, see, why wasn't Canada was like you said 3 or 4 years ago, they're talking about it. What the hell's been the holdup, man?
Yeah.
The United States has too much shit on their hands, I guess. I don't know.
Probably.
Too much fucking, I don't know, shit to argue over. Rabble.
The reason we designed Libra in such a way that Facebook will only be one among 100 different members of the Libra Association and will have no special privilege means that you will not have to trust Facebook.
Well, except, but Mr. Marcus, you know better than that.
You know
that
guy smokes too much.
God
damn.
Access to 2 billion people, and all to say that you are just one of many is simply not true. After people's data and private messages have been stolen and sold, after you've let Russian bots try to throw the 2016 election with no contrition, I might add.
That's another thing. These are mostly Democrats. It's like the whole Russian narrative, right?
With their bank accounts in our economy.
What do the Republicans say about it?
I
mean, they helped them win, but
related question.
Yeah, well,
what if the Russians helped the Democrats win? What would they say?
The Democrats would be silent, and then the Republicans would be bringing this shit up, like, "Oh my God, you guys are crooked, working with the enemy," type shit.
Pretty good compensation in Facebook stock too. Will you pledge?
They try to impeach Trump with all this stuff, man. The whole Russian collusion.
Working on this project will accept 100% of your salary.
Check this out.
Other compensation in this Facebook currency.
Senator, Libra is not designed to compete with bank accounts or to compete with those things.
The question is, will you accept all of your compensation in this new currency that you want us to trust you so much?
Senator, Libra is not meant to compete with bank accounts. We will, for instance, not pay interest. It's like cash.
Do you trust this enough to make your compensation paid fully in your currency?
Senator, I would, because it is backed 1-for-1 with a reserve.
You could have said yes at the beginning of the question then. Okay.
Senator, with respect, I wanted to clarify that we're not trying to compete with bank deposits.
Let me.
Jesus fuck, man. These fucking congressmen are like, you've said it perfect, like assholes, man.
Yeah.
Like the guy was saying yes, he's like, you could have just said yes. Like that's like something a fucking little kid would say,
right,
or something, you know?
See, and here's the thing: the Libra, like Marcus was saying, is designed to be spent, right? It's a spending currency, right? It's not a currency that you hold because
there's no hodling. Yeah, it's stable.
Yeah, it's stable, and second, you're not earning any interest from your savings account essentially. And so what he would do is he would earn his $250K, $500,000 salary in Libra, and then immediately convert that Libra coin into fiat currency, because it serves no purpose unless he's gonna spend it.
Yeah, but then again, he has to pay network fees and stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
It probably
if I send you 1 Libra, you receive 1 Libra. But if you convert that 1 Libra to $1, you probably receive like 94 cents,
something like that. So you might as well spend that 1 Libra that's right. If it's essentially it's like owning $1.
Yeah, that's right. Let somebody else take the pay cut.
Yeah, whatever company you're
transacting with.
Exactly. They're going to hoard up all these Libras and
then
convert it.
And then they don't want to convert it into fiat because they take a haircut on the on the exchange. And so they hope that whoever they need to pay for their services, for the business services, accept Libra. And then all of a sudden people are just transacting in Libra. And therefore the fiat currency is useless.
Yeah. But yeah, it's useless, but...
And then you got to pay taxes in Libra. It's like, dude...
So, yeah.
Yeah, the government's not going to go for Libra, dude.
You don't think so?
No way.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's just
too much fucking power, man. It's not Facebook, but it's a decentralized power, I guess, because it's...
But here's the thing. I mean, I don't know. I think I've mentioned it in a previous podcast. I'm not sure. But if you hold a reserve of fiat currency, that reserve is always going down in value. But in exchange for that reserve, you've outputted a cryptocurrency, a token, a stable token. And that token theoretically doesn't devalue because it's 1-for-1.
Yeah.
So I guess where I'm getting at is the reserve is continuously devaluing because it's fiat currency. And then the token is 1-for-1. So your Libra is also devaluing. So I guess the only value is that I can send you a Libra across the planet and it's not going to cost us anything.
Yeah, essentially, again, I don't think we need this. Honestly, I think they're right. This is mostly something like,
this is something that Facebook can take advantage of, cryptocurrencies, because they have access to 2.2 billion people.
Yeah, and a lot of them don't have access to the banking infrastructure we have. So, of course, it's going to help them out. It's going to simplify things, and it's going to on-ramp them into e-commerce.
And that was another thing that one of the senators or congressmen brought up is, if a person that doesn't have a bank account who also has a cell phone, how are they going to convert their physical cash into a Libra token? And so Marcus's response is, those individuals are going to go to a cash exchange place that will integrate with the Libra network that will take cash and then return Libra to you. And so, in my eyes, it does make it easier for the unbanked to become sort of banked. And so that's another thing that a lot of these congressmen don't understand.
But then the Facebook representative guy, or the Libra representative, he said, we're not offering banking services.
Oh, no, it's not a bank. It's just, if you put in $100, you get 100 Libra, but that 100 Libra doesn't do anything. It's not, they're not going to use it as a loan. You don't get interest. I mean, it's just sits there.
It's just a way of exchange.
Yeah.
It's just it's like it's just Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Essentially. It's what Bitcoin will look like when it's widely adopted, essentially.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like Facebook just skipped all that bullshit, that whole adopt, because they've spent 15 years
adopting.
Exactly. They've already done all the hard work with their Facebook platform. So they already did the hard work. Now they just throw out a currency into the world. All of a sudden everyone's going to start using it,
Yeah, and there's some regulatory alphabet soup that I wasn't aware of until I was listening to the hearing, where if you have a basket of currencies that you're in exchanging, in this case a cryptocurrency for that basket of currency, you're exposing those who hold Libra to foreign currency risk. Meaning if you're holding Venezuelan bolivars, I mean, that has a rampant inflation, and so your basket is quickly devaluing. And so that foreign currency risk we're not exposed to because we don't deal with that stuff.
So by owning a Libra, you're saying
you're already exposing yourself to.
But isn't it like the Libra Foundation, is their job to kind of adjust the basket and accordingly?
Well, that's the thing, is that they don't have control of the fiat currency. So if there's a particular fiat currency that has rampant inflation, the Libra Association can't do anything about it.
No, not that, but I think so that would devalue that currency, and then I think they have to introduce maybe another currency or increase the stack of another currency in order to offset that loss or something.
But somebody would have to put in that currency, that fiat currency, into the basket.
Yeah,
If nobody's doing that, then you're.
Well, who? Yeah. So how does the Libra stay stable then? Who's doing that?
That's the thing. Maybe the
organization has to do it, right?
Well, maybe they're only accepting stable-ish coins
or fiat coins.
Well, sorry, stable-ish fiat currency.
I don't know exactly. Yeah, you would think, right?
Yeah, because
you're
not
gonna fucking put the fucking Bolivar.
Yeah, you're not gonna put it in there because it's.
But you're right. At any point, any of these stable currencies could go down the shitter.
Yeah, at any point, the euro. I mean, any one of these.
So
that's.
But there has to be some way that because there's a reason why there's 100 of these companies are working together. There has to be some kind of governance model, is what I'm saying.
See, man, if I was Zuckerberg, I wouldn't have done Libra. I would have just adopted a cryptocurrency wallet for every single Messenger, WeChat that just does straight cryptocurrency transactions, and then that's that. And then Facebook gets a cut of all the transactions.
That's too small for them,
dude. But they look at the shit that they have to deal with.
I know.
If they just did that, there's nothing the government could do about it. It's there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, the only thing they can do, like we said earlier, is essentially just regulate the on-ramps, which would be Facebook, which is already heavily regulated now. And so they just have to adjust for money services business, and that's that.
So you ultimately think there's no way Libra is going to get through this gauntlet of regulation?
I don't know, man.
You don't see it?
My bet is it will come out. but it's going to be such a watered down like thing that it's not going to resemble the white paper.
Like what parts of it do you think is just like deal breakers?
Well, that's a good question. I think as a currency, as a spending currency, like one of the questions that I don't even know if I have on this list here, but one of the questions is, hey Marcus, how much money on average do you think your users are going to put into Libra? And of course, they know that answer. I know Marcus knows that because when you start a business, kind of like Libra or any other business, you kind of do projections as to what you expect your revenue is going to be, how many users you're going to have. You're going to have all these numbers. And so his answer is, well, I don't know that information, right?
Yeah.
And so he says, of course, the senator guy was like, you have to know this information because how do you get Visa and MasterCard and Uber and all these guys to sign up when you don't even know what your projected value is, right? So the point being is that if 10% of Facebook users end up using Libra, that's 100 million people, right? 200
million.
200 million people.
Yeah.
So, and if 200 million people put in $10, that's $2 billion, right? And so, or they put in $100, that's $200 billion. And so that's a lot of fiat currency that gets locked up. And the only way to use that fiat currency is through Libra. And so that's what the government is afraid of, is that all that fiat currency that they're holding now is being ransomed by Libra. And so if countries and merchants don't accept Libra, then these people are going to have their currency locked up. And so how are they going to allow that? I'm not sure. Maybe they limit to like $10 maximum. That's
so whack.
Yeah.
There's no way that's going to be.
I don't know, man. It's got to be something where they can't give Facebook too much room, because once it has escape velocity, then, essentially the government loses control.
Yeah. So you don't think because what's happening today essentially is the banks are the ones that are locking up this fiat currency, right?
Which they're using fractional reserve banking to make money off of your money.
Yeah, the banking network. So this Libra basket, whatever the fuck, they're locking up this fiat, whatever, let's say $200 billion. You don't think by them, because they're essentially they're going to take away $200 billion from the banking industry. It's not like they're going to print out $200 extra billion.
That's right, yeah.
It's coming from the same circulation,
yeah,
essentially. So the banks have less handle on a pretty significant chunk of money.
Yeah, that's right. You take it out of the banks.
You're taking from their hand and putting it into tech's hands.
Which, if you take money out of the bank,
but from the government's perspective, I don't necessarily know if that's such a bad thing. I don't know yet.
It is, because part of the money supply comes from banks. So remember, in fiat currency and fractional reserve banking, the Federal Reserve loans out money to the United States.
Okay.
Then the United States deposits that money into banks who use fractional reserve banking, which I think it was 90% or 10% is held in actual reserves, and 90% is used as loans.
Yeah.
But the defeating part about fiat currency is, even though that they're only holding 10%, they're not even when they do a 90% loan, like they loan out the 90%, they're not taking that 90% out of their existing reserves. They keep that and they generate a brand new 90% of fiat currency, brand new, never existed before. And so now there's new money into the circulation just by putting money into a bank account. Does that make sense? So the very act of putting money into a bank account is the same act of generating new money into circulation.
But not actual money.
It's real fiat currency. It's actual real money. That's why it's called fractional reserve banking.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to get at is, if you remove $200 billion from that system, then you don't have more money to generate, more money to create in the system, given where we're $22 trillion in debt. If we're not creating more money, you're not paying off that debt any sooner, and therefore you have a collapse in the U.S. dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the government, I don't know, I'm sure they recognize it now after these conversations, that if you extract money from the money supply, just like Facebook is trying to do, you could increase the rate of a collapse much faster. So hopefully,
I'm gonna assume you're right. I don't know. I don't know enough about fucking how all that shit works, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only thing, you just look up where money comes from, and you'll get this whole spiel of fractional reserve banking and Federal Reserve and all that stuff. So just think about, like, if you understand that system and then you take a huge chunk of it, just remove it from the system, from circulation, like, the implications of that means there's no new money in circulation. Therefore, there's no new ways people can make more money, and therefore less money to potentially to be made to pay off a debt.
So there can't be a system where, like, if you're not necessarily, because the banks could adopt Libra, they could use Libra, couldn't they? If it still has the same exact value as the U.S. dollar,
they can't.
Why not?
Because the banks rely on fractional reserve banking. That's their revenue source.
Yeah.
And so Libra we're not a bank. We hold your money, but we don't do anything with your money. We just hold it. We don't make interest from it. It just sits there. Because their promise is, for 1 Libra, you have $1. Yeah. And so, but at a bank, if you do a bank run, there's not enough money to give everybody their money back in their savings account. There simply is not enough money. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And so keeping the people happy and keeping the economy going is partly how you keep people from wanting to do a bank run. Because if that happens, then you're talking about a real collapse. If there is a real bank run, that means the majority of the United States citizens don't trust the government. And so if you don't trust the government, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your money out, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so if that happens, there's not enough money to go around.
Yeah.
And so that's why the banks can't just issue out Libras. Because that's their revenue source.
Again, I'm going to take your word on it, Will. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to figure out a way how, like, Libra and the banking system can coexist, you know?
See, I think Marcus is saying that they can. I just don't see it. This is not how it works. Like, so far, I don't see a way that Libra and banks can coexist, because you're essentially taking market share from banks.
Yeah, that's how I see it. You know, like, yeah, if people are ditching their dollar for digital currency, it's the same thing as people ditching their dollars for Bitcoin or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so you know, like me, let's say I have $10,000, but I want to have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. Now I only have $9,000.
Correct.
So, but Bitcoin, the network itself is extracting all that fiat, that $1,000 of fiat. So Libra is going to do the same thing.
See, no, but here's the difference: is that when you extract, if when you use Bitcoin and Bitcoin is extracting that fiat currency, the place where you deposited that fiat currency has deposited that money, your money, into a different bank account. So that bank account receives that deposit and then creates 90% of that deposit into brand new money into the circulation for a loan.
Okay.
So the difference between putting money into Bitcoin and putting money into Libra is that when you put money into Libra, you're putting into a bank account that is not participating in the fiat currency self-defeating game. So that bank account that Libra has, that Facebook has, they can't make money from it because that's their promise. That's the point of Libra, is that they're not a bank. They don't participate in fractional reserve banking. They're not generating new money out of thin air because they're not a fractional reserve bank.
Mm-hmm.
And so putting money into Bitcoin is actually safer for the United States than it is putting into Libra.
Lost me again, Willis.
I mean, it's just how the banking system works. They need deposits. That's how they generate new money out of thin air. And when they generate new money, that means more loans. More loans means more revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And if you put that same money into a bank account that doesn't doesn't give out loans, there is no revenue.
Yeah.
And so you're basically, Libra is competing with banks.
Well, cryptocurrencies in general.
But the difference is putting money into Libra is you're putting into a bank that cannot use that money versus putting money into a Coinbase, buying Bitcoin. Coinbase puts your money into a bank account that is participating into fractional reserve banking. And so there is more circulation. You are contributing to fiat currency, system.
But you don't have to buy your Bitcoin through Coinbase.
Well, you don't. But you still have to convert fiat currency into cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So whatever means, whether it's Coinbase or something else, Shapeshift, it doesn't matter what it is. Those companies are using bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And those banks are participating in fractional reserve banking. That is what a bank is. And so now you have two types of banks. Those who participate in fractional reserve banking, and then you have Libra's bank that does not. And so when you're extracting $200 billion of cash and you're putting into a bank account that doesn't participate in fractional reserve banking, you're sucking money from the money supply.
How is there nobody talking about this? None of these congressmen.
I don't think because congressmen probably don't know how money works. That's when I would say that. I would probably start there.
That's good. Yeah.
And if I was Marcus, I'd be like, "Do you know how money?" It's actually this argument defeats the existence of Libra. This argument I'm making is an argument that the government should be making to completely stop Libra.
Well, yeah. If what you're saying is so the revenue that we're gonna be missing out on by depositing our money into Libra,
right? Which
is
new money,
the banking revenue,
right? Which creates new money into the circulation.
Yeah, which allows businesses and people, whatever,
loans and all that stuff. That's how you keep the economy
running.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So all that money now is going into Libra that is basically like in isolation, right? They just don't participate in fiat or fractional reserve banking because they can't. I mean, because they promise you for every dollar you put in, you get an equal amount of Libra. And you will always get that dollar out if you deposit that Libra back.
Yeah, that's a major point to address for sure.
So I would say it's probably very likely that these congressmen don't probably know how money is created and how it works. Because if they did,
nobody asked the Secretary of Treasury this question.
No,
you'd figure out he would.
These
know.
people don't. They don't know either. So I mean, if I were there, if I was congressman, that would be my question, just to hear their answer, because I'm curious. Like if you're depositing money, and it's 1-for-1 currency, a stable coin that is not a fractional reserve bank, how can the economy continue if 500 million people, 2 billion people are no longer participating in fractional reserve banking?
I guess they're assuming like the actual usage isn't like high enough to have that type of any kind of effect. I don't know.
Well, it would depend on who accepts Libra.
Well, just Facebook's platform alone was like.
Well, I guess they could. You can transact with each other, kind of like Bitcoin. But then, I don't know what the value of that would be compared to Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's. I mean, obviously, we need to bring on an economist, but that's where I would see the argument for the United States to completely stop Libra is you're hindering the economy, which people would argue this is a good thing. Like a fractional reserve banking is self-defeating. So, but let's listen to this guy.
And cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. I think you were echoing some of the president's comments on using the term thin air in terms of not Libra, but on, I guess, all of them, or Bitcoin specifically, that the value
He's going to talk
on
about
thin air. And I know you were
what you keep saying about what most people say
Goldman
about cryptocurrency.
And a very successful businessman. I'm just wondering whether you've looked at the blockchain technology, the distributed ledger and decentralization that is the underpinning of Bitcoin, and which advocates say does imbue this with some inherent value. Do you yourself believe that this is based on thin air and has no inherent value, or were you just more or less on board with what the president was saying?
So a couple of things on this front.
This is the Treasury Secretary.
First of all, let me be clear. We very much support financial innovation, and anything that lowers payment processing costs, especially across border, is something that's very important. We discussed that a lot at the G7. The president has raised concerns about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoins in general. I absolutely share those concerns. At Treasury, we've been doing work at this for over the last year. We've put together a working group. And there was a clear agreement today from all the G7 finance ministers and central bank governors that Libra in particular raises some very significant concerns and cryptocurrencies more broadly. And that before any of us let these go through,
So this wasn't the video that I was trying to find. Maybe it was this one.
Very, very strong. Well, whether it's a physical money service provider or an electronic, they're going to have the same regulations.
We'd have a problem if we decided every time that cash itself or any other form of currency, every time it's used for some nefarious activities, if we weren't going to use it anymore. I'm not sure that maybe it's a little easier at this point in the technology for certain illicit activities, but that can't be the reason, to say you're not going to use something. We wouldn't even use cash then, because cash is laundered all the time and used for nefarious That's all we've ever used for nefarious activities, and we certainly had plenty of them.
What the?
I don't think that's accurate at all. That cash is laundered all the time. We have the strongest AML system in the world. We just came back from FATF, where on a global basis they've agreed to implement money laundering. I think, as you know, we use sanctions tools. So we combat bad actors in the U.S. dollar every day to protect the U.S. financial system. And all we're saying is
there's been a lot of nefarious activities historically, and it's never involved Bitcoin. So obviously, it's been pretty successfully done with cash. That's all I'm saying. Unless you think there hasn't been.
I don't think it's been successfully done with cash. I'll push back on that. And we're going to make sure that Bitcoin doesn't become the equivalent of Swiss-numbered bank accounts, which were obviously a real risk to the financial system.
Do you see what he's saying? Is that the Treasury Secretary is claiming that money laundering doesn't really happen with cash. It happens more often with Bitcoin.
I don't necessarily know if he's saying that money laundering doesn't occur. I think he's more saying that they're better at combating it with cash. Maybe they think they have like a better control with cash.
Maybe they had control of they had the best control with cash, but you have a better control with Bitcoin. Like that's the thing is like Bitcoin you can track. I mean you can see what the transactions are.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you control the on ramps and the off ramps, then you have a better understanding of where the money has come from. But what he's saying is that most money laundering is happening with cryptocurrency and not with cash, which is ridiculous.
No, I don't think that's what he said. Is it?
I mean, I think so. That's what he was saying.
There's no way because the cash supply is like ridiculous compared to cryptocurrencies.
Well, that's what the anchor man is saying.
And we're going to enforce these very, very strong. Whether it's a physical money service provider or an electronic, they're going to have the same regulations.
We'd have a problem if we decided every time that cash itself or any other form of currency, every time it's used for some nefarious activities, if we weren't going to use it anymore. I'm not sure that maybe it's a little easier at this point in the technology for certain illicit activities, but that can't be the reason. To say you're not going to use something. We wouldn't even use cash then, because cash is laundered all the time and used for nefarious activities.
Whose face?
That's all we've ever used for nefarious activities, and we certainly had plenty of them.
What's going to happen to his face? Like fucking lizard man?
I don't think that's accurate at all. That cash is laundered all the time. We have the strongest AML system in the world.
Dude, cash is laundered all the time. That was the only thing you would use to launder money is cash.
Yeah.
The U.S. dollar, to be exact. I mean, so I don't know if. Do you know how laundering works?
Well,
it's like you basically create a business.
Yeah, and you funnel in your dark money and make it clean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just make it look like legitimate income.
Yeah, I learned that on Breaking Bad, by the way.
But yeah, that's how they get away with it. There's just tons of businesses around locally that I look at, like they have no, traffic, but they've been there for like 10 years. I always feel like they're definite,
Yeah.
money laundering operations.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of like Mexican places.
Oh, no, dude, I think I saw a YouTube. I don't know if it was Ethan or one of those guys. They played a video, and this guy was driving down the street, and he drove past like 6 different like mattress companies.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, in the same street, they had 6 different mattress companies.
Yeah.
Like, you drove all, by them all. And so, that would be a good indication of laundering money.
I've seen one where it's like, I'm not going to name the name of the family, but it's like a specific, very Hispanic name.
Mm-hmm.
And they had like 6 different businesses with all like the same block, like 2 tire shops, like 3 restaurants, and like a meat market.
So you know this family or what?
I mean, I used to buy tires from them.
Oh, okay.
For my cars. But I'm just saying, like, I thought that was just a little too fucking
sketch.
Yeah, like if you're gonna open 6 businesses under the same, name,
yeah,
you would kind of want to disperse them a bit, right?
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I don't know, but the mind of a criminal, you would think you want to keep everything close together, right? It's easier to monitor.
Yeah, for sure.
My assumption.
Yeah.
So I always had my own little fucking thoughts in the back of my head, like, dude, this is definitely like a criminal family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I go to these places, there's not that much traffic, but they've been there. They're thriving.
Yeah.
They're still up. They're not going out of business anytime soon.
Well, I mean, it's a way for the drug lords to, be able to use digital currency by laundering it. I mean, that's the only way to do it.
But that's the big thing. Yeah, they latch on to that.
They pay taxes too. When you launder money, you're paying taxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man.
So you do it as a criminal. You do it so you have actual money to spend.
Yeah. Digital currency in a way. I mean, it's dollars.
Yeah.
It's digitized essentially. Because it's hard. I mean, it's hard to pay with everything in cash. I mean, you can. It's just a hassle.
And it's also like if you're fucking a rich drug guy and you have like a $10 million house and like Ferraris and shit.
Yeah.
And then you have no income. It's pretty fucking obvious that you're doing some kind of dark shit to
that's for sure.
It. So you gotta
back it up.
You gotta create a paper trail.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
That's right. Yeah, because then they launch an investigation on you, and
where did all this money come from, sir?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, it was inheritance or some bullshit. You gotta.
Which at that point you gotta provide some documentation for.
Exactly. That's the whole purpose of money laundering, just to make it look like it's legit. But
so I mean, it's a real case. It's a real thing that we do have to kind of watch out in cryptocurrency spaces. We don't want to support money laundering, but also.
Yeah, but I always say it's like, dude. So what? Yeah, like you said, cash. Everyone launders their money with cash. So by saying people are using crypto for that purpose doesn't like defeat its
value, its purpose. Yeah,
it's functioning just like cash does.
Yeah,
it has value. I guess because it's digital, it's easier. I don't know.
Well,
there's privacy coins out there too that.
Yeah.
People can move their value.
See, that's the other thing. Maybe privacy coins won't be regulated, or, I mean, they'll be regulated out. But then you can just launch a VPN network, convert your Bitcoins to Monero, and you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean,
I don't know, man. See, like Libra, I always had these high hopes, like for something like EOS, because Libra, their governance model, their blockchain consensus mechanism is the same thing as pretty much delegated proof of stake.
Well, I think the mechanism is the same, yes, but the way that they got the 21 nodes.
Exactly. So, but what I always thought to myself whenever I first heard of EOS conceptualized, I was like, one day in the future, we're not gonna have like these small tier projects running these nodes. I always thought maybe it's gonna be Amazon Web Service will be one.
Oh, for sure.
And one in China, like the equivalent.
I haven't looked into EOS lately, but my guess is these are like 21 large corporations.
Not really. I mean, or I wouldn't call them large. I mean, the network's not big enough to where like a large corporation would generate enough revenue maintaining the network, right? They need more transactions. They need more volume for like a big, we're at 150x.
Dude,
there's people still in there.
Dude, get out. Sell. Come on.
See, those
they're
guys,
not paying attention.
I don't know.
This is like
they
not paying
don't
attention.
give a fuck. It's like they're trying to slowly lose all their money or something. I don't understand.
235x, dude.
That's pretty good.
Like that doesn't happen very often. So
no, not at all, actually.
But we saw like 101 and then a 201 all in the same stream here.
Yeah, if you just look at the record, it's like mostly 1 point something X's.
Mm-hmm.
You know. That's the whole idea of this, is to get you hooked, right? Everyone just saw that 235X, like, oh shit, maybe I'll get one of these. But in reality, you probably lose like every consecutive one after that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just rake in your cash.
Yeah, and you'll never get 235X because you would have exited a long time ago at 10X, 20X.
Yeah,
if you're crazy,
you would hope. So we're at 1 hour and a half and it's still recording. Cool. Well, the fucking camera.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, so the you wanted to talk about Neuralink. So
shit. Yeah, but okay.
Wait, was there another video that you wanted to show? Right? God, what was it? Oh, Decentraland.
Libra?
Hold on, let me bring up Decentraland.
Now that we have like video feeds and shit, we actually show what we're working on. I haven't seen like Oscar's latest updates either. Isn't he like constantly updating it?
I don't know about. Yeah, maybe he is.
Maybe it's like something different.
Which one is it?
But he wants to participate in the SDK hackathon, right?
Yeah, I think we should, man. I mean, we got a bunch of ideas.
What are you looking up right now?
I'm looking for that link.
Oh fuck!
There it is, Decentraland game.
There it is, the Unity logo. It's good shit.
It might be loud.
Oh fuck! Explosions. Where is it, dude? Did you wipe it?
Oh, you know what?
Dude, he fucking wiped it.
Oh, I think he did.
Why, dude?
Oh, because it wasn't working.
Oh, man.
That's why. Oh, no.
Are you sure?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it would have loaded by now, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Well.
So what's he just like,
Well, I think it's because Decentraland updated an SDK, and that SDK is not supporting something, and so
okay.
Oscar couldn't get it going.
Oh, well.
Well, pretty soon we'll be able to show the game that we're developing here. So what were your thoughts on Neuralink?
But yeah, we pretty much exhausted Libra, dude. Pretty hard, I think.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I wanted to talk about like a lot of this stuff because we're getting to see in public what the process people go through to understanding cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
And the questions that they're asking are pretty much the same questions that we had. I mean, this was obviously more focused on Libra, but I mean, they had some pretty good Bitcoin questions on there. And like one of the senators brought up what the difference is between Bitcoin and Libra. And so it was helpful.
Yeah, and then like one of the first videos you showed me was just like some lady, like a blockchain expert. She wasn't even affiliated with Libra, right?
Yeah, so they had two panels. It was David Marcus, I believe. It was Mr. Marcus, and then they took like a 5-minute break after like 3 hours of questioning. It seemed like, and then they took a 5-minute break, and then a new panel came in. As a matter of fact, I think they had 3 sessions, 2 with Marcus, and then 1 with that panel of experts. So the panel of experts, obviously they didn't like Libra that much, but the crypto expert, I forget her name. She's great. She killed it. She's been running a cryptocurrency business for I think 5 years now, and she was explaining the difference between Bitcoin and Libra, and she did a really good job.
Yeah, see, that's important right there. More than anything, just educating.
Yeah.
These
Yeah,
folk.
that's and for this panel, they were more open to listening rather than trying to shut down.
If they're gonna come up with policy and stuff, they need to know what the fuck they're talking about.
That's right.
You would think, I mean, these Congress people, they probably hear so much shit on a daily basis. A lot of them probably just don't pay attention. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what's the purpose? Like this committee, like it's going to be up to them whether or not Libra gets clearance or what? Or
well, I think they have to come up with a regulatory guideline that supports the cryptocurrency space in general. And they're trying to first understand what Libra is doing, and potentially support Libra too. I mean, they don't want to just completely shut down Libra for no reason.
Yeah. Okay. What is this?
Here it is.
You posted that?
Meltem Demirers.
Oh, okay. Damn, she got 91,000 followers. Not bad.
Yeah. So
she's working on a company?
Yeah. So she's the one who went to the panel and they asked her a bunch of questions of crypto. She did great, man.
Yeah. She teaches at MIT in Oxford. Good Lord.
Yep.
Bitch owns. She has her own website. Let me see her website. meltemdemirs.com. I try to help people understand what crypto is because it provides freedom of choice and a new lens through which to view the world. Dope ass mission statement.
Oh, the good disclaimer.
She's doing her part then, dude. I guess she's our fucking Andreas. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would you put her up there? Is that good?
Yeah. I mean, Andreas is just, he's just really good speaker and he's funny.
She's just super knowledgeable.
Yeah, she's super knowledgeable. I wouldn't compare the two.
Let me see her investments. I'm going down the rabbit hole of this chick.
Yeah.
Tetris Capital. That sounds familiar. Oh, Ripio Credit Network. Yeah. Okay. Damn.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know most of these, but still. Okay. Well.
So, yeah, that was her.
So, Libra, man. I guess it's now we just wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
They put their fucking white paper out there. They let everybody know what their intentions are. Now it's up to the world to decide whether or not this shit's going to exist or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. That's the thing with Bitcoin, man.
Yeah,
it's out there no matter what. It's just a matter of, how long it's going to take for it to...
That's the best thing about Bitcoin. It's out there no matter what.
Yeah.
If you're going to depend on money, you depend on Bitcoin. Although Chico Crypto, he came up with this I guess, inevitability with cryptography and SHA-1, SHA-1, being collided with so basically when you create a collision with SHA-1, you have the ability to guess your private key of a Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would completely defeat the existence of Bitcoin forever. And so what you would do is you would switch to SHA-2 or SHA-256, which just makes it even more difficult to guess the private key. And so what I'm saying is Bitcoin would have to evolve to support the higher or more difficult hashing algorithms to continue protecting the network. But that's just that will happen. It probably won't happen anytime like soon, like within the 5 years, but it will have to happen because computational power continues to increase.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have an increase in computational power, you have an increased ability to guess somebody's Bitcoin private key. And so the way to defeat that is just make it even more difficult. And so they'll have to update the Bitcoin network to support the new Bitcoin private keys. So it's like SegWit, but it more advanced.
Yeah. Do you think that create another fork?
Like that? No. It's not. It wouldn't be. It would if it does. I don't think it creates another fork. It's more like a soft fork.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does, you want to be on the harder chain.
Yeah, the more like updated.
The more updated one.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of switching your cryptocurrency accounts from one wallet to another. So did you watch Neuralink?
Neuralink?
Yeah.
Yeah, the presentation. I didn't watch the whole thing. But yeah, you said you weren't that really impressed. How come?
It's not that I wasn't impressed. They just didn't really They didn't really show much. I mean, other than like the sensors and all the stuff that they implant on the brains.
Yeah, what were you expecting?
I wasn't expecting anything, to be honest.
Nothing?
No, nothing. I mean, I just wanted to hear what they were working on, and the video that they showed was pretty cool. They have like this really tiny needle that gets implanted into the brain, and you plant these like little sensors. And
yeah, it's not like a thread, a nano, or not like it's the size of a neuron, essentially.
Yeah, and
the purpose is what? To record.
You have wireless communication from your app to this device implanted into your brain, and I guess through that you'll have access. Eventually, you'll have access to an interface, an internet interface.
Yeah, but how does that get created? Is what because
shit, I don't know.
Well, these electrodes, I guess that's what I didn't understand. You know, they didn't. I think they tried to explain it, but I didn't really get it.
Yeah.
That the purpose of these threads that are layered with all these electrodes is to record those spikes, those action potential signals. So that information somehow, if they have 10,000 nodes, they're recording 10,000 spikes. Simultaneously.
Yeah.
In like a specific region of the brain.
Right.
So that information, they harness it and then.
Yeah, it's sort of like I would imagine that they're using machine learning where, let's say, for example, you have this electrodes connected to your brain and you start playing a video game. So you're playing Call of Duty and you're recording everything that's going on in the brain when you're just killing it in Call of Duty. And so that data gets fed into machine learning and it starts understanding patterns of, playing the game. And so eventually you wouldn't even need a controller to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You would just think your way through it. Like your interface is not your fingers anymore to the game. It's just your brain interface. It's a high bandwidth highway to this game.
Well, that's what they want to start out with, right? They just want you to be able to control like
a robot arm.
Or not even. I think they just want like keyboard and mouse to start out with.
Yeah.
Like if we could just control everything on our screen with our brain.
Yeah.
I guess to them that's like phase 1 or something.
Yeah, imagine like you're surfing the internet and all you're thinking is like, okay, Google.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to Google.
Just open a tab and then the tab just opens up.
Yeah, you don't even say it. You just kind of like think it and it just happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the right way to do it.
So but that's just, like I said, phase 1. What the ultimate goal of this project or this company is what?
Yeah, well, I mean, Neuralink Corporation is an American neurotechnology company founded by Elon, developing implantable brain-machine interfaces. So the ultimate goal is to provide AI with a necessary dependency on human beings. So if our brains are the ones interfacing with AI, then AI wouldn't have a reason to completely destroy us in the worst case scenario. That's what Elon says.
So, okay, I can see that. So before he thought of this company or whatever, or
he
this
was,
endeavor,
he was
afraid of AI because if eventually AI gets to the point where it's making its own decisions, I guess, it would come to the conclusion that
humans are not necessary.
No. So by doing this, they'll learn, they'll figure out somehow that we're part of the.
Yeah, that we can't separate. The AI can't separate itself from human beings.
Why not?
I don't know. It would be designed in that way. That's why not. I mean, that's his whole purpose. I mean, if you think about like all the things that he's worked on, especially now with Tesla and then SpaceX, they're more like big time human accomplishments, right? They're not just companies anymore. They're like ways to inspire humanity. And the one fear that he has is artificial intelligence. And that once it gets too powerful, it's already too late for us to do anything about it. Sort of like blockchain, or specifically Bitcoin. Now that it's been 10 years, it's too late for anybody to do anything about it. And so as humans, we can't afford that to happen with artificial intelligence. And so what he's proposing is if we're interlaced, if our brains, our biology is interlaced with artificial intelligence, we become, superhuman in a sense because we have unlimited access to information, but also we'll become indispensable to artificial intelligence.
I don't see how you become indispensable because
the only way
aren't there like limitations to our brain that artificial intelligence doesn't have those same limitations?
Well,
you know,
computers have limitations themselves. They can't even recognize pictures for the most part. They do a bad job recognizing images.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we're getting a little bit better with deepfakes and all that, but the computer itself is not recognizing what it's doing. It just has a job to understand 2 eyeballs, a nose, and a mouth, and then put something over it. But it's not comprehending what it's doing. And so AI could eventually comprehend that and start doing crazier things and just replacing a face.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you create that technology that becomes independent from us, it could pretty much do anything it wants. So I think Neuralink, obviously, it's probably ahead of its time from the perspective of people understanding what AI could do.
Yeah.
But that's Elon's job, man. That's what he does. He's always like 10 steps ahead of everybody.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's good. It's a good thing that he's like working on improving medicine in a way. Like that's the thing that impressed me the most. I guess he said something about how like what we had before Neuralink.
Yeah.
Like at most they would plant like 10 electrodes or something.
No, it's like 2 electrodes like deep into the brain.
Yeah, something like that to combat like some type of disease. Parkinson's.
Yeah.
It's like deep implantation, and
yeah.
then his is like 10,000 or something.
Yeah,
it's like a huge increase in efficiency or just.
And it's
just an improvement.
It's like a small, like little dime-sized diameter hole that they make into your skull. They have these implants, done. They fill that hole with something, and then you have like a wireless interface between that part of your brain and yourself.
So there's a pattern with like Elon's life work. Like he always finds a way like to improve an already existing technology. I guess rockets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know how he did it, but he figured out a way to make cheaper rockets and.
Well, it's like there's no such thing as original ideas. There's only remixes.
Uh-huh.
And so all he's doing is, like you're saying, he's just taking existing ideas and saying, well, how can we make this better?
Yeah.
And then just doing it. I mean, obviously he's got the resources now to do this stuff, but could be like one of those really important things that if it wasn't for Elon, we'd be like the Terminator.
If it wasn't for him?
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, we'd be, battling Skynet and, artificial intelligence. So, yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I didn't catch, like, the Q&A at the very end because it was, like, freaking almost 1 a.m. when it was happening. It's like...
Yeah.
And then it was, like a 2-hour delay or something.
Was it really?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I caught it a little late. Yeah, I mostly watched like snippets and clips of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I mean, like you said, it's kind of hard to conceptualize. Like, what's the end game of this?
Yeah, I'm sure he's only scratching the surface. And I think they talked about things that they shouldn't have, like.
Yeah,
the animals.
He said there's a monkey that's already, doing that, like manipulating the screen or something with his brain.
Yeah.
So he's got the full-on implants in there already.
Yeah.
And it's functioning, I guess. I guess he wasn't supposed to release that type of information.
Yeah, and he said that he cares about the mice that they do research on too. And I mean, of course, these are all living things, and
yeah,
you have to care. If you don't care about the animals that you're testing on, then you're not gonna care that much about the humans you're gonna be testing on either. I mean, that's the implication.
You mean care? You just mean like just treat them.
Yeah, just like
humanely, ethically.
Yeah, care about what they're going through. Essentially, I don't know what you can do about that, because you're talking about this is like real experimentation.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure they went through a lot of animals.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, just to try and figure out. Dude, they're digging through their fucking brains and shit.
Yeah.
That's no easy task.
And this is one of the ways to learn about the brain. I mean, we don't know a whole lot about the brain. We know a lot. I mean, to some respect, we know something about the brain, but
what's the gray matter in between all the vasculature in your brain? Is it all just clusters of neurons?
Shit, I don't know.
Because like in the diagrams, it's literally just piercing through it all.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's like Seems like brain damage.
Exactly. You might not be bleeding.
Yeah.
But you have to be severing some type of connections, right, in between cells.
I would think so.
I don't know, unless they're just that fucking precise. But I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, they look like two spikes in the brain, from what the diagram that they showed.
Well, the device itself will just be like something behind your ear, right?
Yeah.
Like
no, I'm talking about there was one image where like the old school version of doing this had like two major spikes.
I didn't see that.
And so this is sort of what I was talking about. This is like the wireless communicator to I think via Bluetooth to your phone.
And so that you could just update, I guess, like swap out.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. I don't know.
Oh, here we go.
Holy
Spikes.
shit. Wow.
So I don't know if these are actually represent that they're going inside the brain, but this doesn't
I would
seem
think so.
safe.
It says deep brain stimulation, so you would assume it's deep in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like they Yeah, like you said, we don't understand enough about the brain. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that, they thought of this. They had to.
Mm-hmm.
They have a team full of fucking neuroscientists and shit, so they know what the negatives and the positives is just implanting these threads.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. I don't know. It's like I said, hopefully he creates more fucking medical devices just to make more precise surgery and stuff like that. Like that right there, that robot you're showing, who's to say they can't apply that to cancer,
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean,
because they're doing like super precise fucking surgical,
yeah, those are
procedures here.
the electrodes they get implanted into the brain.
Uh-huh.
And there's like this tiny little needle. I mean, this looks like a huge machine, but obviously I can't really zoom into but this little spike here, this little needle is what accurately. So it was interesting because they showed like a brain, and it was moving because it's alive, right? There's blood pumping,
pulsing,
and it was. So what the computer does is they anticipate all this movement, and they accurately pinpoint the location where these electrodes are supposed to go in, and so therefore you yield all these tiny electrodes inserted into your brain via that needle, and then you get access to whatever interface you're trying to access via this device.
So it has to be that specific brain region then.
Maybe that's like the motor region. I'm not sure.
Right? Jesus. So can you see like your brain is just covered in these fucking threads at some point.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing. And you have complete control over like what regions of the brain you can manipulate or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Oh, man. Well, all the luck to him, man.
Yeah.
To them, I guess, because that's some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But this isn't something like a cool.
Yeah, this isn't like a consumer product that's going to come out in 2020.
Yeah, this isn't something like
all of a sudden you have like wireless communication via your brain interface to your phone, your iPhone.
Yeah,
like that's not.
Yeah, how they roll this out? You know what I mean? They're gonna have you like Tesla, like pods you walk into and you just get brain surgery to implant these devices, or what? Not Tesla, Neuralink.
I think for the next 20 to 50 years, this type of technology would be for those who have like Parkinson's and debilitating,
Yeah, but I guess it's
diseases.
just kickstarting this whole movement, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good. It was good, like, little presentation that they had. But yeah, anything else you want to say about Neuralink or Libra or any of these crazy?
Libra.
Dude, we're living in an interesting time, man. I gotta tell you.
Yeah, there's like too much shit, man.
There is.
Too much shit to keep track of. But the Libra thing, it's interesting.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
one of those dramas that you're kind of like curious as to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
but
only because it has like so many close ties to what's going on in Bitcoin and crypto.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's the space we're in. What the fuck is that? Is it a Ferrari?
Did you see this? Does it look like a Ferrari?
It does, but it's a Corvette, huh?
It is a Corvette.
That's the new one? Moves engine back? What do you mean?
Yeah, so the engine is now over here. Yeah.
How that thing's gonna be like $100,000 plus.
No. It starts at 60,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You get one that looks like this for 60 grand.
Damn.
Yeah, look at that engine.
Well,
it's not electric. I mean, it goes 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be electric, dude. Corvette? No way. You want one?
Nah, I'm gonna stick with a Tesla.
The Roadster?
Yep.
Pull a picture of that up. Damn, dude, there was a day where like you would have fucking straight busted a nut at looking at that Corvette, dude.
Yeah,
You're very, very firm with your ideals. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a better car. I mean, obviously it's more expensive.
Yeah.
This is like $200,000.
Shit.
But it's...
I don't think that looks better than that Corvette you just showed me.
No, it may not look better, but it is better.
Yeah.
Right?
In what sense?
Think about, like, if
it's
you
faster.
It is faster, but no more oil changes. Right? You don't have to go and get gasoline anymore.
No, like the Model S or Model 3 and Model S, I'm totally sold on those cars, man. Just the functionality of being able to self-drive and shit is insane.
Yeah.
But you don't buy a Corvette for that, or a sports car. I feel like you buy a sports car.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not going to hate anybody getting a Corvette.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, like a car is not, I don't know. It's just not as important as it used to be, I guess.
Yeah, I used to be really into cars, dude.
Yeah.
But it's still a sexy car, for sure. And yeah.
Well, the thing is, man, this thing, 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds.
Exactly.
Well, it's going to blow everything out of the water.
Yeah. But it won't sound cool.
I was just going.
Yeah, it's just going to come by like lightning. Or breeze in the wind.
So, yeah, that was the only thing that came up, like, in my thoughts on latest events. Corvette just came out, like, a couple days ago. They unveiled it. So, yeah, I think that's it, man. This was a good conversation, especially with Libra stuff, man. That stuff, to me, is fascinating. Because this, like, has real effects on the planet.
What, Libra?
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a way, it's like... See, it's like I know it's helping Bitcoin in the long run, but in a way, it's like stealing its thunder.
Nah.
A little bit.
I don't see it that way. I think...
No, it's definitely not.
Because...
like I said, it's creating the conversation.
With
it's bringing Bitcoin along.
It's like the block and tackle, situation we brought up on our last podcast. Libra's blocking while Bitcoin is just running.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope the fucking price stays up, dude, because...
Oh man,
we haven't even talked about the price.
It's been steady, man. 10,500. Like it's gonna drop soon because
think so?
Bart Simpson's gonna show his face right here.
Dude, that's like a fucking perfect Bart, dude.
It is. It is a perfect Bart.
That might be why it's not gonna do it. Just because everyone's looking at it, it's like, dude, this is total Bart making. It's just gonna go straight up and just wreck everybody.
Yeah.
But that looks so unnatural, man. I don't know. I'm done trying to call like what the fuck Bitcoin's gonna do.
This looks more natural, I guess.
Well, yeah, like a natural sell-off, pretty much. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man. Like I said, dude, it hit that 9,800 critical level. It bounced right off. It never went below. But that was like our make or break point, dude. And it's doing good at holding up.
It hit 98 and it bounced up, but it also went to 91.
Oh, it did. That's right. You're right.
It went to 91 and then it bounced.
That's true. I totally forgot about that.
So it could still go, $8,000, but
yeah, man, it might not be done correcting. You're right. It's definitely not like in any. I mean, overall, is it still bullish? Like, do you have any trend lines left over? Oh, they're over here, aren't they?
Yeah. But yeah, let's call it.
Like drew a downward channel.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the daily chart here.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we can call it.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit that 2 hour mark, anyways.
All right, guys, this has been the Block Runner podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you go to theblockrunner.com and also our Twitter account at the Block Runner, and ask us any questions. Tell us what you want to hear about, what you want us to break down, and we'll be back on weekly doing podcasts, and it's going to be more on YouTube this time.
Yeah, we got to get shit on YouTube. So how do you want to do it? Just the whole thing, just plaster on there? Or are you going to find like topics, segments?
Oh, no. So we'll probably put the whole thing on there, but then we'll also do the segments, just because the more surface area you create on the internet, the more
better
chance that people will find you. So,
all right. Sounds good, man.
So, yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll be back in about a week.
All right. Do we look at the camera to sign out or what?
Yeah,
It's just fucking.